see if there's more
All
we'd
right.
like to say
And
from
then
here
to
on this
try
issue.
and- Recognizing that if a question is posed to you in terms of why, in terms of isn't this a failure, you're never going to say, yes, it was a failure. Can I just ask you, why isn't it? Why should it not be seen as a failure? The fact that not only of the administration's strategy in Iraq, but also in Syria, which you have said played a major role in the bolstering of ISIL and their advance. Why is it wrong to look at this as a failure?
Well, Matt, because I'm not, one, I think the context of what we're looking at here is important. Obviously, the withdrawal from Iraq in 2011 was not a mistake. That was a decision made with the Iraqi government, consistent with the U.S.-Iraq security agreement, a decision and a timeline that was set out 2011, longer than that. 4 year. What year are we? We're in 2014. Sorry.
Sometimes it feels like 1936.
A decision and a timeline that was set out long before 2011 is, I guess, what I should say, back in 2008, if I remember correctly. And we stand by that decision that was made. Now, obviously, in circumstances like this, there are steps that we've taken, given the increasing threat, whether that's the counterterrorism fund that the president announced just 2 weeks ago, or the increase in assistance we've given. We're not going to make an evaluation that something is a success or a failure because we're continuing to work on it. It is in the interest of the United States and the interest of a range of countries around the world to continue to boost the capacity and take on this threat.
Okay, if you can say that the withdrawal, such as it was in 2011, was not a mistake, which is what you just said, I presume that means that you think it was not a mistake to withdraw because you couldn't get a SOFA.
Not just that, but I think the other contextual point here is it would be inaccurate to assume that the small contingent of military that was being discussed at the time would have helped stem or prevent what we're seeing and what we've seen over the last several days and even months. So there were factors that we could not have predicted 5 years ago, 6 years ago, including obviously the situation on the ground in Syria, the impact of that, and we've made decisions over the last several months to increase capacity in both cases.
Right, but I mean, some people did predict this, that complete withdrawal, the withdrawal that happened in 2011, would lead to something like this. Maybe not, in this time frame, but that was predicted. So
I would pose to these same individuals whether they would think that the small contingent of military that was being discussed to leave on the ground would have prevented this, and I think the answer would be no.
Okay, there's some criticism, or maybe I should say suspicion, that the president, because he campaigned on ending the Iraq war, which he thought was a mistake to begin with, really didn't try hard enough to negotiate a SOFA with the Iraqis. Can you say that that's false?
I would say that's absolutely false. I would remind you that the timeline was laid out by the prior administration. It wasn't a political decision.
So it was. So that you're saying that you can rule out that it was that it wasn't. See, I don't want to do a double negative, and I'm not trying to trick you. It was. You can say for sure that the president tried as hard as he could and directed his administration to try as hard as it could to conclude a SOFA with the Iraqi government.
I can say that there was no politics involved in the decision-making and that there are a range of factors that were considered at the time, now 3 years ago. I'm obviously not going to dial back or go back in history to what was occurring at the time.
Well, okay, but when you say not politics, you mean that it wasn't simply to fulfill a campaign promise. That's what you mean by that?
Yes. Iraq, or